Okay, so this is the shooting guide aim training partial movement tutorial. Okay, there we go. So basically how I start off, I told you, you already know the 5 dummy trick. So that one's a good one to already have. Okay, let's show you the alternator. So basically it's roughly the same. That's roughly it. As you've seen, there was no dummies to spawn, so. Okay, so that is the alternator warm-up. That's the kind of speed warm-up if you have limited time to go to do something. To get your aim semi-warm, ready to go. Now I'm going to show you how I typically aim with the R9 SMGs or anything up close, so we could even practice with this as well. So per se, you have R301 Wingman. It works for practically any weapon except for the 30-30 because its hip fire is sometimes questionable. So basically, if you're aimed in, so you know how the trick is, you can aim in and just you typically have good hip fire whenever you release. So basically, that's how I'm doing it. You can just pull it out and shoot it, basically. See, the hip fire basically acts as your ADS, so that's how you can quickly pull out the wingman and not have to aim down sight. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can miss, you can overcorrect. So a lot of times if you're pushing somebody and you whiff some shots, you can just typically pull out the wingman and you don't have to aim, especially being up close with how it drags so much. It takes longer time. So that just doesn't work out as well sometimes. So as long as you aim in, so see that works with, let's try the RE. See? It rolls over. It doesn't go away immediately. That's a bunch of people's misconception, is that they have to aim in after they fire from another bullet. Or from another gun, my bad. Because you see how it stays somewhat there for a couple seconds, right? So as you swap over, it stays there. See how it stayed in that one little area? So that's another good trick to actually learn and get adjusted to instead of automatically. See, as soon as it pulls out, you can pretty much shoot it. It's almost every time going to be dead accurate. So that's a good little trick to always use. But typically I would go through the majority of the weapons here, whether it's burst fire or not, and I'm just gonna get warmed up. There's no crazy trick to it. I wish bots came down into here, just so you could practice this stuff, but it's whatever. Now I've done showed you the mantle off of this, the slide, and all that, so that's kind of null and void. You already know about that. So, okay. Let's pull out the Hemi. Let's do a 2x on that. Let's Spitfire, not the Hemi. People obviously have their own training routine. Typically, there will be a guy up here. You can shoot with that, then you look down here. A lot of people struggle with aiming down on people because it's a hard thing to do, especially when they're trying to push you. So typically what I'll do is I'll spread this guy up close, just kind of put the bullets on him. Then I'll try and sit here because this is medium-ish to long range. If you get like advanced, you can kind of shoot this guy down here, and then you can do whatever, swap up with these guys. Now, if you're trying to push somebody and they're on low ground, like that guy, right? Okay, and I'm saying push, you're not going to want to peek. You're going to want to stay at full health as much as possible. What you're going to want to do is pretty much just slide down onto him, take whatever fight you can, basically. Especially if you already have LOS, you've seen him there, already doing that. So you want to make sure to try to, as long as you know somebody's there, you're going to want to, you know this already, but as soon as you get the entry damage, you're going to want to come down firing on him. Playing any angle that you can. You know what I mean? Any angle at all. Just like that guy. Any angle. So if you're here fighting somebody, you're boxed out, you're down here. You're gonna want to try and stay on this cover at all times. You're gonna want to try and peek it. Cover is your friend, especially if you're a fragger. Unless you're just, you know, fragging out, you're entering with the whole team. You're all fine. Okay. Got another trick for aiming smoothing that I actually use every single day, every single game that I'm in. So typically for you say you'll never see me stand still and shoot unless we're at a long range fight. And even sometimes you'll see me just straight back and forth. See how my crosshair right there in the middle, how it fluctuates? That's because it's wanting to register that you're moving. So you're not though, so it's still saying there, but your body is still moving a little bit, so you're able to take advantage of that. See how the crosshair barely goes up? That's a type of aim smoothing that I use pretty much every game. And here's another one that I really like to use. So if you see me practice any dummies, pretty much at all, you're going to always see me kind of go side to side. Not technically following them, but so, like, let's say if you're shooting like that, that was me not holding down at all. That basically goes all the way up. And then you're going... Now, if you go sideways, it typically, as you've seen there, it reduces how much it goes up. So I'm trying to use my left stick to kind of mimic them or throw them off a little bit, obviously. But every time I'm using my right analog stick to basically aim smooth while moving. So I have less recoil to have to control. That's why when I'm doing this, it looks like I'm a straight beamer. It's because I'm using aim smoothing. But, I mean, to each their own, and that's just the biggest tips and tricks that I have. Now, there's no, per se, real routine to how I warm up. Besides just coming in here and absolutely shooting every bot that I can. Like, even if I have this, I'll sometimes try and shoot that guy. You know what I mean? But if you're moving with your left stick, so let's turn this into an example real quick. Like I said, if you're using left stick, try and mimic where they are with your right stick just a little bit. Okay. This is a good way to get used to it. And so just try and watch them. Just sit here and do this for a minute so you can get used to it. But then whenever you use it like this, you see how my aim was just steady right there? It has a little bit of kick up at first, but other than that, it really doesn't. Yeah, I could have killed the dude. I don't know. See how I'm like, I'm always moving it unless you're doing the 5 target dummy thing. That's just raw input control. Obviously, you know, it's just raw input control. So. But like I said though, this trick really does come in handy because a lot of people don't realize this. They'll sit there and just, oh, I gotta aim, and I'm so scared I'm so scared. Nah, you don't have to aim in. You don't have to waste that little bit of time to make sure you're on there. It's typically gonna be there. See? Any type of fight that you are going in though, like let's say this guy for high ground, for instance, if he's holding the high ground, you're gonna want to try and play around it as much as possible. You know what I mean? Obviously though, but it's easier said than done, right? But these are really good angles to practice in the firing range. Angles like this, because this alone messes people up and you'll end up shooting that. So practicing things like this where you're at a really weird off angle will really help. Alright. And other than that, implement your own inputs to shoot these targets. Obviously, you know some of my original methods of this, so that will come into play as well. That's probably my best flick method, was what you just seen there. It goes him, finish off there, him. Okay, so this video should help a good bit, especially on how to pull out with the other weapons. It does work with, not that, 30-30. It does still work with a 30-30 though. See how close that was though? It's much better than its normal hip fire. So if you're up close, you're typically gonna hit them. You know what I mean? Just like I said, works for pretty much every weapon. There's no need to try and aim right after you shoot, unless you just need to. If you feel more comfortable doing that, obviously do that. But you will get out of that because it does take time away, unless you're just obviously going from this to straight that. You know what I mean? So. Let's see. A 2x is one of the best ways to fix your overshooting or undershooting of a gun, because you'll really notice how far you are. You see how far I was on that? And then as I get a little bit more armed up, it starts to get more accurate. Because at 1x, you're obviously basically at the same distance you are. It's just slight inputs, but it helps. Alright, and I hope this helped. And if you need anything else specifically, let me know.